Good morning. Ian Maddox, Hitchcock Maddox Financial Partners, and we have arrived at our next session of the HMFP Q&A. Glad you're with us and appreciate the ongoing support and the questions that have been coming in. We will continue to answer those. This week's question comes from right here in Trussville. Thank you, Johnny A. Here's Johnny's question. What are the advantages of owning rental properties for future financial goals, like retirement or college for kids, versus more traditional retirement savings plans, like, I'm adding this in, but like a 401k or a 403b or an IRA? Johnny, this is a good question. Appreciate you submitting it. Watch your mailbox for the Starbucks gift card. This is a question that's a good one. All the questions we get are good. Again, as is often the case, it's very specific to your financial plan. The answer is specific to your financial plan. Whether or not rental properties or direct real estate versus a 401k, say through an employer, the pros and cons between the two. Let me start by saying this. Real estate is a good asset class. It is one that is included in a lot of portfolios for individuals, for corporations, for pension accounts, foundations. All of those things often will hold real estate. Why do they hold real estate? Real estate is a good hedge against inflation. It's a tangible asset. It's something you can put your hands on. It can appreciate in value. It doesn't always, but it can appreciate in value over time. And often it produces cash flow, right? Because if we own property from an investment standpoint, we're likely going to find a tenant, whether that's an apartment, we will have a family or an individual that lives there. If it's an office building or some other type of commercial property, we'll have business entities that rent that from us. So yes, there's a cash flow element, there's a potential appreciation element. So real estate as a whole is something that we're fans of. Now, how do you buy it? And is there a pro to doing that versus just putting money aside into another type of an account, 401k, 403b, as I mentioned? This is really going to come down to case by case, as I've said before, and I would encourage you, Johnny, to sit down with a tax attorney or a financial advisor, an accountant, to look at your specific circumstances to determine what's best. The tangible asset, if you just own it, that's great. That's a wonderful thing to do. It's a diversifier. Just keep in mind that you're going to have the issue of maintenance and management over that property, right? So you're going to be the one that's responsible if a phone call comes in at 2 in the morning because the toilet's plugged, right? So just keep that in mind. Now, there are management companies that you can hire to do some of those things. The nice thing is you're cutting some of the layers out and some of the expenses on that regard, and so any rent that's coming in comes directly to you. You can also buy real estate in a more traditional stock format. They have things called real estate investment trusts that issue shares that you can buy right on the open stock market. There are also ones that you can buy that aren't traded on the stock market. They're more of a direct investment, but you own a portion of a lot of different properties. So there's pros and cons to each one of those. In some cases, they give you some degree of the same type of diversification, but they have different parts that wiggle different ways. So it's just something to take in consideration. Now, in terms of whether you own that property direct or you just save money in a retirement account, if you need cash flow today, that can be one source, right? Your retirement accounts, you really can't access until 59 and a half without a penalty. But after that point, then that's pretty common for people to take those monies and turn them into a stream of income. So kind of you can do both together. I hope I'm answering your question. Real estate, again, just to reiterate, is a good asset. It's a good diversifier in a portfolio. But whether you own it in a stock format or you own it direct is really going to be based on a number of variables that I can't address today on this video. But I do appreciate the question. Keep them coming. Again, Ian Maddox, Hitchcock Maddox Financial Partners. See you next week.